Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is May. If you're new, I just graduated from Csulb and I'm now making videos about my post-grad life at home. I'm eventually hoping to teach English abroad, but for now I'm just staying home while everything kind of goes on in the world. So I thought I would tell you guys about all my favorite classes that I took at Csulb. Thought this would be a fun one. I know that you probably have already chosen your classes for fall by now. Some of you may be having sore dates still, but by the time this video goes up, you probably will have chosen your classes, so I don't know if it'll help you for fall, but just in general, I just wanted to kind of give props to these classes that I really liked. I could also do a video on my least favorite classes, but that's not as positive or fun, so I am always open if you guys want to, you know, leave the name of a class or the name of a professor and ask if I had that professor or took that class, ask what I thought of it. Like, I'm always open to give my opinions on that because I want everyone to have the best possible experience. So yeah, just letting you know. But I'm basically going to go through GE classes / electives, classes I took for my major, and then classes I took for my minors. I was an English creative writing major and I had a double minor in French and linguistics. So let's get into it. For GE classes, there were only a couple because I didn't really like most of my GEs. And also keep in mind, like, these are my favorites, like the cream of the crop. So there may have been other classes that were tolerable or I kind of liked. It's not like I hated all my other classes, but these are just like the top favorites, but there aren't that many from GEs. So my first semester of college was really hard for me in a lot of ways, as it is for like everyone, and one of the main reasons was that I didn't like my classes very much, but definitely the best one I had was my history class. I took recent US history. I forget what the number was, but you have a choice for that category if you either want early US history or later US history. So I took the later one that was Reconstruction onward, and it was a hybrid class, so it only met once a week instead of twice, and the other half was online, so it wasn't like Zoom like it is now, obviously, but it was just like the professor would have recorded a lecture or two, and there was some extra reading and stuff. Basically the way the class was structured was just like a ton of like outside reading. There was like the textbook and then primary source documents, I believe, and as well as the online lectures. And then in class, it was a very large lecture. It was in this the business building, but in my opinion the professor still managed to make it really engaging because he split us all up into discussion groups. We had assigned seating. We sat with our group, so whoever was sitting around you, those 5 people, it was assigned, and that was your discussion group. So he would have discussion questions, and then he would call on groups, and there would be a spokesperson for the group. I think you had to rotate and stuff. So some people might find that annoying, but for me, just sitting in like a big lecture hall listening to a lecture all day, that was something that was nice to break it up, and I thought that it actually worked really well. And his in-class lectures were not directly from the book, but they kind of made new connections between the ideas we were learning about, and I felt like I really deep learned a lot of the information because of that, and it made it fresh and interesting and not just like a super dry like lecture right out of the textbook. So it helped, you know, for you to do the reading before class, and then you didn't feel like you were getting a repeat. Like, if you did the reading, then he was building off of that. So I really appreciated that, and there wasn't a midterm, there was just a final, and I felt like it was very reasonable. I believe there was a multiple choice. Like, this is so long ago now, I don't even know. I believe there was a multiple choice and like an essay, a couple essay questions. Yeah, I just thought the whole class was like very reasonable, and it just like made the most out of like a lecture setting. And then we have COMM 110. I loved this class. This was my second semester, spring of freshman year. This was an honors class. I took it with Jillian. Actually, now looking back at it, I knew a lot of people in that class because it was an honors class. It was a bunch of people from the dorms, so I lived in the honors building. Anyway, this class was so much fun. It was interpersonal communication, so I believe for your comm requirement you can take interpersonal or public speaking, and I was not about to do public speaking, so this is what I chose, and it was just a ton of fun. It's a lot of like self-reflection, and it's still academic. We had like a research paper and stuff. That was actually the first time I had to use the library databases. It was like our marriage project or something, a relationship paper. I don't remember, but we had to like we had to do like a study of people who had been in a relationship for over 10 years. So I did my parents, and then we had to like apply theories to it and apply critical sources or something. I don't remember, but most of the class was structured around, you know, class discussion. We just did a lot of fun activities. I think there was a project where we had to make an activity and a presentation based off of a TED Talk. So Jillian and I did Brene Brown's TED Talk on vulnerability, and that was super fun. We also had happiness projects where we tried to make improvements, certain improvements in our lives for each month, and our final was presenting our last happiness project. So that was pretty cool. And there weren't really tests, I don't think. It was all just like presentation, participation, discussion based. And so yeah, then like the TED Talks, everyone would have their presentation, so that would kind of be like part of each class too. So I just thought it was super interesting and it was super fun, and there were some lectures, but it was like mainly based off of like interaction, class discussion, and I thought that it was just really a fun time. And then we have my dance classes. I honestly don't even remember why I decided to take my first dance class. I had done choir the semester before, or the 2 semesters before, which is the other one I'm going to talk about. But I just decided to try something different, and yeah, I wanted to do dance. So I started out with hip hop, which I had never done anything remotely like it, and it was completely out of my comfort zone, but I just loved it. It ended up being so fun, even though I hated it at first and wanted to drop the class. Because I was like, this is not happening, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick with it, and it got better. So I took beginning hip hop, and then I took intermediate the next semester, and then I also took intro to modern my senior year. I would have taken beginning modern, but they didn't have that, so intro was like actually half lecture, half activity. So that was definitely my least favorite of the 3, but I still liked it. I think I would have liked it more if it was all activity. I just felt like I wish we had done more choreography. And it was all just kind of like different exercises, which were still really fun, and kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone as well, and made me think differently. But I wish we had done like more choreography. But we had like our final project that was coming up with choreography in a group, and that was so fun. If you guys haven't seen my vlog where that all happened, it's last year's Vlogmas Day, I want to say it was 13, where I have like the performance and everything. But anyway, I think the intro dance classes definitely count for category, what is it? See, I'm like already out of college and I forget everything. I used to be like as good as an advisor. Like I knew everything about the G's. I think not as good as an advisor, but like I knew a lot, okay? I want to say it's called C1 is your art requirement. I could be wrong on that, because the A's are like English 100, COMM, and critical thinking, so it has to be, and B science, so it has to be a C. It's C1 is your art requirement. So I think the intro dance classes count for that, and there's also intro to hip hop, intro to tap, I think, intro to ballet, intro to jazz, so you can take one of those. And then the activity classes, which would be like beginning or intermediate, are just units if you need them, but I don't think they count for anything specific because they're just activity classes. But if you need units, you should definitely consider it, because I felt like it really helped to have a class that was fun in the midst of everything else, and it gave me something to look forward to, and it was something different. Those classes seriously pushed me outside my comfort zone in so many ways, and it really challenged me. But some of my favorite memories that I have from college are from those dance classes, so I really can't recommend it enough. And then I was going to talk about choir. I did choir my spring semester of my freshman year, fall of my sophomore year. Spring, freshman, fall, sophomore. And then also last spring, which we didn't get to finish and do our concert, but it's fine. I had done choir, you know, most of my life. I was in a children's chorus, so I wanted to try that out. I was just in the general 49er chorus. I didn't audition for any of the other ones. I really just wanted something low-key, and it was absolutely perfect. We just met every Tuesday night. 7 to 9:45, but he really lets you out at like 9:15, 9:20. The director's very chill, very laid back, and I found him hilarious, so class was always a real good time. Like, it was so fun. I really enjoyed it. I loved being back in that choir atmosphere. So if you've done choir in high school and just want something, you know, that's really low-key that you can fit into your schedule, I would definitely recommend doing that. If you do it in the fall, you get to be part of Winterfest. You get the privilege of having rehearsals every day when you're about to go into finals. It's a real fun time. Which is why I only did it once, because it was killer, but I am just so grateful for that experience. Winterfest is definitely up there with my favorite memories of college as well. It's basically this big festival with all of the other choirs, and there was also a handbell choir there, and some songs the choirs do individually, and then there was like a finale when we all sang Silent Night together. It was magical. It completely put me in the Christmas spirit. Just the week leading up to it, where we had rehearsals downtown in the church when it was about to be finals, was just a little bit rough. But yeah, great experience, loved it. We were going to do this really big epic concert at the end of last semester. I can't even remember the name of the piece we were doing out Carmina Burana. That's what we were gonna do with all the other choirs, and it was gonna be this big thing, and the orchestra was gonna be there. It was called Celebrating Music, but thanks to COVID, that didn't happen. And then finally, my Pilates class, which I also didn't get to finish out. I'm putting it in favorites because it introduced me to Pilates, and I think that I found another form of exercise that I really like, but actually being in that class was hell because it was killer. But I would still really recommend it if you're looking for a workout class. We have a ton of kin classes. That's what Pilates is in the kin department. The dance is separate. It's like its own thing, but kin, you can take so many different classes. Like if you played a sport in high school and just want to take like a 1-unit kin class, if you need units or just for fun, there are so many different options. There's like swimming, basketball, tennis, whatever. There's so many. There's even surfing, which you obviously have to like transport yourself to the beach, and it's really early in the morning. Told myself I was gonna do that when I went into college, and I did not, but it's fine. I don't think surfing would be my thing. But anyway, I am going off on a tangent. So now I'm going to go into my major classes. This video is ending up a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I really enjoyed all of my creative writing classes. So I took the lower division short story, which was 205, the upper division short story 405, and the novel, which was 407. And for my other creative writing upper division requirement, I did directed studies, so that's how I only took 2 upper division creative writing classes. I really enjoyed all those classes. It was workshop style, so you had either 2 short stories that you had to write or 2 chapters of your novel, and there was like each teacher had their own kind of, you know, way of running the workshop and their own page counts that they wanted and everything, so it does vary, but that's basically the structure for most of the classes, I believe. And then each class, someone like 2 different, I think it would be 2 different people, each class would read their short story or their chapter, and then everyone else goes around and critiques it. So it's definitely nerve-wracking when you're the one reading, but I also just found it so helpful, and I met a lot of great people in those classes. And then we have my medieval and Renaissance lit class. This is English 250A. I know there was another era in there. It was like medieval, Renaissance, and something else, but I don't remember what it was. And I had been dreading this class because I thought that it was going to make no sense. This was fall of my sophomore year, and it's funny because I actually had more trouble with 250B, which I was taking at the same time, and that's like the more modern one. And I just thought that it was going to be like the texts were going to be completely inaccessible and it was going to be too much work, and it was actually fine, and the teacher was just amazing that I had. He made everything make sense. He made it really accessible and like related it to today's time. He made class really engaging. I actually looked forward to it, which was something I really hadn't been expecting for that class, I gotta say. And he was just so encouraging of participation, which is something that I always just, when a professor creates an environment that's just really warm and inviting and like welcoming for participation, is the only way that I ever participate, because I always hate participating in class. And also he is possibly like hands down the most helpful professor I've had in office hours, because for all my English lit classes I'd go to office hours to get help with my papers, kind of get more guidance from the professors on what they were looking for and whatnot, to develop my ideas, and he was just so helpful. Like, we sat outside like by the beach hut, and I would go over the ideas I had, and he helped me refine them and turn it into an outline, and I felt so much better after that. So it was just a great experience all around. And then I have American drama on here. This was another lit class that I really enjoyed. I believe this is 478. It was one of my upper division lit class requirements for English, and yeah, I really enjoyed this class after coming from a lit class that I really hadn't enjoyed the year before. This class was just so well organized, clear cut, It wasn't too much reading. It was basically about a play a week, and the plays weren't super long. I felt like there was a lot of diversity in the different kinds of plays we were reading, so I didn't feel like we were reading the same thing over and over. We had a midterm and a final that were just so well based off of what we had discussed in class. It was beautiful. It was like multiple choice and essay questions, but it was just so doable, because it's like if you had been to class and listened to the lectures, you were good to go. Like, it was just amazing. And we had a final project in addition to our final exam, where we had to act out a scene from one of the plays and explain our interpretations. That was really fun. And we also had 2 papers, but they were very doable and it was fun. I got to write a paper on Next Normal, and I had never heard of Next Normal before I took this class, but now I love it, and I love listening to the soundtrack, and I love the story, and I got to write a paper about it, so how cool is that? And then finally, I have my English grammar class, which I took last semester. It's English 320, and that counted as an upper division English elective requirement for me, and I'm a grammar nerd, so I really enjoyed it. I think if you're an English education major, you actually have to take it. It's not an elective, because I don't know how many people would want to take it as an elective, but the way the class I took was taught was very straightforward. The teacher was always asking if we had any questions, was really, really dedicated to making sure we got each concept before going forward, really broke things down so that they made sense. The quizzes were, like, for the most part, very reasonable, like what we had learned in class. The midterm and the final the same way. I just always really appreciate it when teachers make the tests based off of what we learned, because not everyone does that. Sometimes it's just random. I've dealt with that a lot too. So that was just really great. I feel like I learned a lot, and I have all my notes that I can go back to later on because I know I'm gonna need to. And then for my minors, I really enjoyed most of the French classes that I took. I think if I had to choose a favorite, it would be conversation. Well, I can tell you, some of the French classes I took were really like intense and hard, but the conversation class was really fun. I took the 200 level one. That's just like a plain old elective, like it didn't even count for my minor, I don't think. The 300 level one does, but I really liked it because it was just something different, and you're actually putting what you're learning in the textbook into practice, and it really pushes you to deepen your knowledge. I think it's awkward, but like it's kind of fun. And then for linguistics, I really enjoyed a lot of the linguistics classes I took, but my favorite, and this is why it's on here because it was one of my absolute favorite classes of college, was Linguistics 110. I took the honors version. It was amazing. Like, I think I've mentioned this professor before, but he had done field work in Ethiopia. He would always talk about that, and he was just so inspiring and just nice, and he made lectures engaging. And I took that class at the same time I was taking Linguistics 170, which I would highly recommend taking them at the same time because the material that you're learning in each class interacts. 170 is like straight up technical stuff, at least for the first half of the class, and then I think you might get into more of the sociolinguistic aspects of the second half, but in 110 you're kind of putting those technical aspects in the context of world languages, if that makes sense. So having the technical depth from 170 helps you understand it better. But you learn about language families in different parts of the world and like the different characteristics and stuff. And it was so cool. I absolutely loved it. And for our final paper, we got to write a research paper on a language of our choosing, and I'm, a nerd, so I thought that was super cool. And it could be a language family too, so I did the Sami languages, and I was really proud of it. That's probably my next normal paper, and the paper I wrote for 380, which is not on this list because I hated that class, but it really did. Like, I guess I should just mention English 380. That's the English capstone. It really killed me. Like, it took a toll on my mental health. It was just a nightmare, but it was just very stressful. But I really do feel like I learned a lot from that class, and that's the paper I submitted to the Writers Resource Lab, or the University Writing Center, when I applied, because I knew it was good, because I had to make it good, and we just had to learn so much in that class. It's also like your theory class, so that part was just so dry, but yeah, that paper killed me, but it's one of my favorite papers that I wrote in college. I would say my linguistics paper, next normal paper, Csulb paper from 380. Anyway, this isn't about that, but I just thought I'd mention that. Back to linguistics. So for our final, we had that paper, and then we had a final exam as well, but our final presentation was a presentation on that paper, and it was so fun to like hear about everyone's research and learn about all these different language families, and I just loved it. So yeah, that is going to be it for this video. If you guys are planning on taking any of these classes and want to know more, or if you want to know what professors I had, I know I didn't mention it because I just thought that would be boring if you were just watching this for fun, but if you want to know what professors I had, I swear I still remember their names even though I clearly am already forgetting stuff from college. So if you ever want any more information, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to help. And yeah, this was really fun to reminisce on my favorite classes. I wish you guys the best of luck if you're about to go to CSULB or wherever you are on your college journey. I make videos every Monday. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe to see more, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!